Okay, let's get right into it. The entire landscape for the Japanese auto sector has just shifted dramatically. A new and very real threat has emerged, and believe me, it is changing the game for everyone involved. We're going to break it all down.
For months, the biggest cloud hanging over Japanese automakers was the threat of U.S. tariffs. But that's pretty much old news now. As this quote nails, that anxiety has been completely overshadowed by a very real, very tangible operational crisis that's happening right now.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with this new headwind that's facing the industry. Then we'll look at a huge warning shot fired by Suzuki. We'll analyze the divided market that it's creating, examine Mazda's really unique strategic bet, and then we'll finish up at the overall outlook and the key risks you need to be watching.
So let's dig in and break down exactly how the primary risk for the industry has transformed from a political what if into a painful production reality. The key difference here is, well, it's everything. It's the difference between worrying about a storm on the horizon and being right in the middle of it. Before, the industry was bracing for a possible U.S. tariff, a major concern for sure, but still a theoretical one. Today, they're dealing with a realized constraint, a supply chain shock that is actively disrupting production lines as we speak. And where's this shock coming from? It's China's escalating export restrictions on heavy rare earth elements. Now, these materials are absolutely essential for the magnets used in EV motors. And here's the kicker. Japan is almost completely dependent on China for its supply. This is the choke point.
Theoretical risks are one thing, but now we have the first piece of hard evidence that this crisis is very, very real. The first domino has officially fallen.
So, what is the canary in the coal mine for the entire Japanese auto industry?
A 69% reduction. I mean, that is a staggering number, but what exactly does it represent?
This is the warning shot. Suzuki just slashed the initial production run for its new e-Vitara EV. They cut output from over 26,000 units down to just 8,200 for its crucial launch period. The reason is explicit: a critical shortage of rare earth magnets. And this isn't just a Suzuki problem, it also directly hits the Toyota Urban Cruiser EV, which is built by Suzuki, highlighting just how interconnected this whole industry is.
Now, you'd think this would be terrible news for Suzuki across the board, right? But the latest sales data from January reveals a really fascinating split in the market. Just look at this contrast. While Suzuki faces this future EV production crisis, its January sales in Japan surged 39%. Meanwhile, giants like Toyota and Nissan saw their domestic sales fall sharply. So what's going on?
While the trend is pretty clear, consumers are rotating towards value. With inflation pinching everyone's budgets, Suzuki's affordable hybrid and internal combustion models are hitting the sweet spot. So while its EV future is hitting a major roadblock, its current lineup is absolutely thriving.
And this weakness wasn't just isolated to Toyota and Nissan. The broader market shows headwinds for others as well. Honda's domestic sales dipped, and Subaru saw a significant drop over in the critical US market. All told, the entire Japanese market actually contracted.
So in the middle of all this supply chain chaos, how does a smaller player respond? Let's take a look at Mazda, which is making a really unique strategic pivot.
While most of the industry is racing to produce mainstream EVs, the very models now being threatened by these magnet shortages, Mazda is deciding to carve its own path.
On February 1st, they activated a dedicated rotary engine development group. And crucially, they are moving the iconic rotary engine beyond its recent role as just a simple range extender. The new goal is to develop it as a primary power unit for future carbon-neutral sports cars.
Now, this isn't just nostalgia, it's a strategic bet on a multi-solution future. By pursuing unique powertrains like rotary hybrids or even hydrogen rotaries, Mazda is aiming to differentiate itself from the crowded field of what are becoming commoditized BEVs.
Okay, let's synthesize all this. What does the road ahead look like, and what are the key risks that investors really should be watching?
First, and this is vital to remember, while the supply chain shock is the immediate crisis, the old risk hasn't disappeared. That 15% U.S. tariff is still a major factor lurking in the background.
Its status is, well, it's complicated. The U.S. Supreme Court still hasn't issued a ruling, and that leaves the tariff in a sort of limbo. It's technically in force, but it's legally vulnerable, creating this persistent zombie state of uncertainty that makes long-term planning incredibly difficult.
So here's the watch list. Immediately, you need to monitor if this rare earth shortage spreads. If it hits core, high-volume hybrid models like the Prius, that's a massive escalation.
The other key trigger would be a surprise Supreme Court ruling that invalidates the tariff. That would instantly change the profit outlook for companies like Subaru and Mazda, and likely re-rate their stocks overnight. And this leaves us with a final provocative question. A tariff reversal could dramatically shift the financial landscape. But in a contentious election year, what are the chances the White House allows that to happen? That's the multi-billion-dollar uncertainty to watch.